What is a spouse visa? Canada proffers an opportunity to every Canadian citizen or permanent resident to settle along with their family in Canada. One way for it is spouse visa to Canada. A spousal sponsorship Canada falls under the family sponsorship class. The Canadian spousal sponsorship helps the Canadian citizen or permanent resident to sponsor their spouse, common law partner, or dependent children to stay with them in Canada, through permanent residence. This program doesn't have any point system like other immigration programs. This sponsorship takes around 12 months to process the application. The potential sponsor should be able or willing to provide for the financial needs of a spouse or common law partner. To sponsor your spouse or common law partner or conjugal partner, the potential sponsor must sign a legal contract with IRCC. This program is created with a motive to stay with your loved ones in your destined country. Spousal Sponsorship Canada allows your spouse to become a permanent resident. Spouse Visa Canada Relationship Characteristics. The following are some basic characteristics required for Spousal Sponsorship Canada. They should have a mutual commitment. There should be interdependency over them in physical, emotional, financial and social issues. They should have a permanent and long-term, genuine and continuing relationship. Both should care for their children together. Spouse Visa Canada requirements. Below listed are the few eligibility criteria that should be for Spousal Sponsorship Canada. The potential sponsor should be 18 years of age. Should live in Canada or should be planning to return to Canada, once their spouse or common law partner becomes a permanent resident of Canada. Must not be committed of any violence or sexual offense. They should not be imprisoned. Submission of the application. If you have submitted your application, the sponsorship permanent residence and open work permit applications can be submitted together in the Case Processing Center in Mississauga, CPCM. If the permanent resident application submitted yet did not receive approval, the application for open work permit can be submitted in hard copy to the Case Processing Center in Vegreville, CPCV, in Alberta. If the permanent residence application has been approved, the open work permit application can be submitted online or on a hard copy to the Case Processing Center in Vegreville, CPCV, in Alberta. Dependent children. Through spousal sponsorship, the immigrant also can bring their dependent child who is below 22. The child can enhance all the benefits given by the Government of Canada. Categories of Spousal Sponsorship Canada. Spousal sponsorship is categorized into Outland Sponsorship, Inland Sponsorship. 1. Outland Sponsorship. If the sponsored partner is residing outside the Canadian border, then they can apply through Outland Sponsorship. At first, this application will be received by a processing office in Canada. Then, it will be transferred to the applicable visa center abroad for the finalization of the application. 2. Inland Sponsorship. If the sponsored partner is living together in Canada but on a temporary Canadian status, then they can apply for inland sponsorship. An open spousal work permit allows the sponsored person to remain and work in Canada on a temporary status, till the sponsorship application is processed. Things to do as a sponsor. As potential sponsors, they need to sponsor their spouse or dependent children for 3 years after they land in Canada. As potential sponsors, they provide for their basic needs such as housing and financial support. If your sponsor currently resides outside Canada, you need to show the intent of your return once your partner gains permanent resident status. Else requirements. It's one of the most critical aspects of the immigration process. Else is mandatory for all immigration processes. But for Canadian spousal sponsors, else is not mandatory. No qualification or points system. Required documents for a spouse visa to Canada. Relationship information and sponsorship evaluation. Marriage certificate. Wedding invitations and photos. Birth certificate or adoption records of children. Proof of registration of a marriage with a government authority. Any two documents from the following. Proof that you and your spouse own a property together. Shared bank accounts. Utility bills with both of your names. Car insurance. Copies of government-issued IDs. Pay tax forms that show that you live at the same address. For common law partners, there will be no marriage certificates, so they have to show relationship status. Joint bank accounts. Co-ownership of property. Record of cohabitation like shared household expenditure or rentals. Telephonic calls. Open work permit. The spouse or common law partner is eligible to apply for an open work permit. If applying for an open work permit, the foreign national should be residing in Canada. They can apply for an open work permit through inland spousal sponsorship. Yet, they have to ensure that they meet the eligibility criteria for the program. If their application is approved, the foreign national can mark under many employers the temporary duration in any location in Canada until their PR is processed. The procedure for spousal sponsorship open work permit varies depending on the applicant's status and stage of their permanent residency application. Requirements for the open work permit. They should have submitted the permanent residence application under the spouse. A Canadian citizen or a permanent resident of Canada should have submitted a sponsorship application. The spouse should live at the same address as them. The spouse should have a temporary resident or approved application for permanent resident in Canada. Sponsorship agreement. The potential sponsor should financially support the spouse or dependent children. The sponsor should sign an undertaking along with sponsorship. This undertaking is to ensure that the new permanent resident will not require any assistance from the Government of Canada. The length of the sponsorship agreement depends on the age of the individual, their relationship to the sponsor, and their place of stay in Canada. Requirements for Quebec. Quebec has some additional requirements for family sponsorship programs. After applying for the sponsorship, the potential sponsor will receive an email or a letter with instructions regarding submitting the special agreement to the Quebec government.